In January 2010, two graduate students at Texas Tech University were conducting research on energetic or explosive compounds, funded by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The students were tasked with synthesizing and performing tests on a new compound, a derivative of nickel hydrazine perchlorate. Initially, the compound was made in small batches of less than 300 milligrams. But the two students were concerned about potential variability among different small batches of the compound, which could affect later test results. So they decided to scale up the synthesis to make a single batch of approximately 10 grams, enough for all of their testing. They believed that keeping the solid compound wet with a solvent would keep it from exploding. After producing the larger batch, the more senior graduate student observed that it contained clumps that he believed needed to be broken up prior to testing. While wearing safety goggles, he transferred half of the new compound into a mortar, covered the compound with a solvent, and used a pestle to gently break up the clumps. After some time, he took his goggles off and walked away. A short time later, he decided to stir the compound once again. He did not replace his goggles. As the pestle pressed against the compound, it detonated. The graduate student was seriously injured, his left hand severely damaged by the force of the explosion, causing the loss of 3 fingers, perforation of his eye, and cuts and burns to other parts of his body. Post-accident photos and video show extensive damage as the explosion fractured the lab bench, shattered bottles, and sprayed the lab with projectiles. Professor Dominic Casadante was head of the Texas Tech Chemistry Department at the time of the accident.
From my perspective as department chair, you go through the emotional trauma of, oh my gosh, somebody that I know has gotten very seriously hurt, to soul-searching, why did this happen?
With these academic incidents, people like to focus on the immediate actions of the individual involved and try to poke holes and with hindsight, assert some sort of blame on the incident, on the individual involved. And what we have to recognize is that there are bigger systems at play here that can influence safety.
The CSB investigation at Texas Tech found deficiencies in each layer of safety management within the institution. These included insufficient safety accountability and oversight by the principal investigators, the chemistry department, and the university's administration. And according to investigators, there were also important gaps beyond the university itself.
I think that the way we were a year and a half ago is pretty representative of the way that a lot of universities, especially chemistry departments, are around the country. The main lesson I would really like, and it's the way that I start a lot of my talks on safety, is there but for the grace of God go you. That is to say, your universities.
The victim at Texas Tech had been working on the energetic materials project for about a year at the time of the accident. But the CSB found that he did not receive any specific formal training on working with potentially explosive compounds. The two principal investigators believed they had verbally established a 100 milligram limit on the production of energetic materials. But the CSB investigation found there was no formal system for communicating this limit or verifying compliance. None of the lab researchers believed that a strict 100 milligram limit existed.
When graduate students go into these new endeavors, a new project, a new process, they need to get specific training, and they need to have it ensured and have it assessed. Do they really understand what it is they're doing?
And the CSB found that the use of personal protective equipment within Texas Tech laboratories was not consistently enforced.
When we were at TTU, we learned that many people made the decision whether or not to wear their personal protective equipment based on the level of danger they felt that they were about to undertake.
There's a lot of momentum here for safety consciousness on campus, but it shouldn't have had to come to that. Don't wait for a serious accident to happen on your campus to begin to think about safety and transform your own culture.
When we think about the role of principal investigators and senior campus administrators in lab safety programs, I have concerns. because in many places, I feel they are not providing the leadership in this that's needed.
Dr. James Kaufman is the president of the Laboratory Safety Institute, a nonprofit organization which provides safety training for universities.
Academic institutions encourage their students to achieve excellence in their work. They need to apply that same high standard to their laboratory safety programs, environmental health and safety programs.
To achieve a high safety standard, the CSB investigation identified key laboratory safety lessons for universities. Ensure that research-specific hazards are evaluated and then controlled by developing specific written protocols and training. Expand existing laboratory safety plans to address the physical hazards of chemicals. Ensure that safety personnel report directly to a university official who has the authority to oversee research laboratories and implement safety improvements. Document and communicate all laboratory near misses and incidents.
You know, I have a PhD in physical chemistry, and I have a lab safety story. I could pull together many friends and we could sit in a room and share our lab safety stories. That should make us stop and ask these stories that we can share, those of us who've gone through the graduate program, you know, are those just stories or are those really opportunities to ensure that nobody dies again or nobody is seriously injured again, at least to the best of our abilities?
Exploring the unknown, doing research, always involves risks. Those risks are worth taking. We know that as a society. And as a society, we owe it to ourselves to do them in the most efficacious and safe ways we can.